Our good friend of the stream, Ben Shapiro, made a awful, horrible mistake. He didn't learn his lesson from the last time he was on one of these interviews, and he decided to do another one again. Ben Shapiro went on to Bill Maher to talk with Malcolm Nance about critical race theory and a bunch of other like social topics that boomer Democrats like to harp on about in the media. So I was like, this may be a little interesting ride for you guys. So we may have a good time here. We always have a good time watching our friend of the stream, Ben Shapiro. So let's just see how he does in this talk, huh?
I thought it would be a great moment to talk about your book, The Authoritarian Moment, which I must say, I'm not being snarky here, when I saw the title, I thought, oh, he's writing about Trump. Your thesis is the authoritarian moment is coming from the left, and I must say, I just wanted to know, where's the other half of the book? It just, I mean, yes, I agree with you. Woke Twitter has power. People who think they don't have power, they have power in a million different areas. It's just soft power. I just find it perverse that you find that less alarming than the old school kind of authoritarianism that Trump and his ilk are going for.
This is a really good thing to point out, that in the time of Donald Trump, who literally tried to overthrow the election with his horde of goons and with trying to pull every single card that he had at his disposal as president to overthrow a duly elected president, Joe Biden, and overturn an election, that is less threatening to Ben Shapiro than a 14-year-old BTS stans on Twitter. It really tells you where his priorities lie, doesn't it?
And here's a new poll from Business Insider. 55% of Republicans say the traditional American way of life is disappearing so fast we may have to use force to save it. 47% of Republicans say it may be time to take the law into our own hands. That's not more alarming to you?
Well, I mean, clearly that is alarming to me. I think that when it comes to, Republicans suggesting that it's time to take the law into our own hands, the answer is we do have a democracy in this country. We do have elections in this country. And the point of the book really is that for all of Donald Trump's attempts to overturn the elections, the institutions did not stand with him. There was not.
Is that like okay with you? So Donald Trump tried to overthrow an election because he didn't like how the outcome went, and led an entire march on the Capitol to stop the Senate from certifying votes that he didn't want certified, trying to meddle in elections, trying to use the Supreme Court to overthrow the elections. Ever since the day he went into office, trying to pretend like he was actually like 7 more million people voted for him. Just it was accounted for by Hillary Clinton bussing in like buses and buses and buses of illegals who would vote 27 trillion times each. They'd vote and then they'd put on another hat and then they'd vote and they put on a fake mustache and they vote. Then they put on an overcoat and hop on their like friends' shoulders and then they'd vote and they'd hop off their shoulders, take off the trench coat and then put on a sweater vest and then they vote again. Like that was the actual idea coming from the right in this country and Republicans and Donald Trump. And to sit here and say that that's less dangerous than weirdos on Twitter tweeting and making memes about Donald Trump, I don't know what you're talking about. You are lost, partner. You are lost, my good friend. You are out of your dang mind if you think that this is anywhere near comparable or on the same level. What Donald Trump is doing is like he's like the snake for fucking Yggdrasil, just gnawing at the roots of the very foundations that our country is built on, and other people are going a little bit too far with like Twitter. With like a Twitter vigilante justice by saying mean things about people and contacting their employers. That is bad as well, but nowhere near as threatening to our just very existence as a country and as a republic, a democratic republic, than what Donald Trump is doing. That's just like, you're out of your mind.
Not a single major institution in American life that stood with Donald Trump. When it came to the riots last year, every single major institution mobilized on behalf of Black Lives Matter, from corporate America to people like Vice President Kamala Harris, who is urging people to bail out rioters in Minneapolis. The question is not whether authoritarianism exists on all sides. I think there are plenty of authoritarians on all sides. The question is, where does the institutional power lie? And if the answer is that Donald Trump tweeting and being a jerk is the essence of authoritarianism, as opposed to, say, Joe Biden, the president of the United States, saying this week that he doesn't care whether it's constitutional for the CDC to extend the eviction moratorium. He's going to do it anyway. I mean, that seems rather norm-breaking.
Like Donald Trump grinding up against the Constitution all the time, like Donald Trump trying to use the Supreme Court to roll back gay rights. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? Like Donald Trump pushing the boundaries of what the president can do in the Constitution when it comes to presidential executive orders. With Donald Trump, when it comes to using other branches of our military to try to arrest citizens on the street. Like, what do you mean? Like, those things are not less threatening to you than extending eviction moratorium so people don't get kicked out of their home.
What if a different guy was the Secretary of State in Georgia who he called up and asked to find me 11,000 more votes?
You know, it's a nice title for his book, and I think a lot of people who would assume that he's talking about real authoritarianism could be trapped into giving.
Holy shit, Ben Shapiro's just fucking death. You see Ben Shapiro's like death stare on this guy? Like, holy crap, dude. Ben, just so you know, this gets a lot worse. Ben does not like this guy at all.
Authoritarianism could be trapped into giving you $28.99. But for those of us who actually...
I said be nice. Now, critical race theory, I must say, to begin with, I hadn't heard the term probably a year ago. Now I hear it every day. I think Americans are just starting to hear it. And I think no one knows exactly what it is. They know it has something to do with race, and it's some kind of a theory. Right? What is critical race theory?
I will admit that I read a lot of critical race theory in law school. So, you know, the work of Derek Bell or Gene Stefancic.
This is the stuff no one knows but you and 6 other people.
Which is funny because Ben Shapiro did actually read up on critical race theory when he was in law school. He just decides to lie about it.
Yes, there's a certain sort of crystallized version of it that is a lot less complex than what critical race theory actually is. But critical race theory essentially argues that racism is baked into all the systems of American society and that any sort of neutral system is in fact a guise for racial power. Even things that are purportedly good in terms of race, so long as they uphold these broader systems, things like capitalism or things like the meritocracy, these things are actually just guises for power. And so what that boils down to in sort of practical terms is all disparity equals discrimination. If you can see any stat where black people are underperforming white people, this means the system was set up for the benefit of white people and that white people have a duty to tear down these systems in order to alleviate the racism that's implicit in those systems.
Now, okay, well, so Malcolm, you tell me your definition.
Oh, I agree with everything he just said.
Oh, great.
I appreciate you being honest in defining of what it's like to be Black American.
Oh my gosh, Ben stares. It's so look at He's found his arch nemesis, man. I don't think I've actually ever remember Ben Shapiro like death staring someone like this before. He seems nervous. Is it just me? He actually seems nervous in this conversation. So Ben, he did say somewhat correctly that critical race theory, it does look through the lens of race. Not every single critical race theorist says that every single disparity is solely because of racism. Obviously, if black people and white people, like all things completely equal, we're given the same exact like opportunities, there would be some disparity based on just how humans are. Not all of us want one thing. No, it'd be a lot closer. But if there's a massive disparity between what one group of people attain and another group of people attain, it's good cause to look into. There may be something wrong here. There may be something going on, which is fine. And more likely than not, there is something going on, because even though there is some differences, the differences is not like black people in Boston have $8 of net worth, period, on average, compared to white people in Boston, which can range between like the high tens of thousands to like a couple $100,000 dollars, which a massive disparity. That's not just choice. That's hundreds of years of discrimination, all culminating in this one moment for this one single stat. Yeah, good night. Take care. And that's fine. But Ben wants to say, this is them taking too much. They're taking too much of the pie here. Let's see how this guy's going to argue it.
Right? That is, I mean, we're talking about a system.
That's unfair.
No, I'm just saying I agree with all of those suppositions because they are grounded in truth. Look, and the funny thing is, it's not just African Americans, right? It's also the Scalp Act of 1749, where for $300 modern dollars, you had to cut off the head or the hair of an Indian to prove that you've got them out of the way so they could settle. The Chinese Exclusion Acts of the 1840s.
Oh, no.
These are things we don't talk about.
That's not, I mean, first of all, that's not. It's not true that people don't talk about these things. We all did learn about.
You don't want them talked about?
No, that's not true either.
You want to cancel them?
No, Malcolm, I'm sorry, you're lying. That's lying.
That's not lying.
It is lying. I not only have I've personally talked about many of the things that you just mentioned. I define critical race theory by citing the actual authors of critical race theory, and you seem to be a pretty good beneficiary of the meritocracy.
You're going to say the authors of critical race theory, as he said. Critical race theory is an incredibly complex thing. He said what critical race theory actually is an incredibly complex thing. So he's contradicting himself, like the authors of critical race theory. There is no author of critical race theory. What the fuck does that mean? The owner of critical race theory, Mr. Critical Race Theory? There's no author of critical race theory. There are people who are authors who talk about critical race theory, as he said earlier, but now he wants to back off that point because now he has to actually defend. Now he actually has to defend some of his stuff. Yeah, the critical race theory patent. John K. race theory. No, it's John C. race theory. Remember, the C stands for critical.
Because you have merit, Malcolm. So if you're going to criticize the meritocracy as an outgrowth of white supremacy, then you're going to have to tear down the system that you've succeeded in because you have merit.
You know, when my great-great-grandfather ran away from slavery to join the 111th U.S. Colored Troops and fight against the South, keeping human beings as slaves, he didn't think, you know what, in 150 years, my great-great-grandson's going to have to sit on stage and argue with a guy who thinks all that's bullshit. All right? I'm just saying. Malcolm.
He's so mad. He's getting so mad. The thing is, from just a purely just like substance standpoint, he's not actually engaging like super hard with Ben Shapiro's points, but he is rhetorically destroying him, which is hilarious to look at, because the more he keeps doing it, the more frustrated Ben gets. Look at his fucking face. Look at how twisted his face is. Look how twisted his face is. He's so mad. Like, all of that's bullshit. He's just angry. He goes on to make some pretty decent points, but here he's just like rhetorically just slapping him around.
There is no controversy.
The fifth largest school district in America, Clark County, just decided that they were going to lower standards with regard to testing because they wanted to alleviate disparities in outcomes.
That's not critical race theory. What are you talking about? See, this is and now here's the game he plays. Malcolm. everything that he's going to pull up, everything that he's going to cite now that he doesn't like as it pertains to race, that he disagrees with, he's going to now label as critical race theory here. So how is that critical race theory? Well, it has something to do with race, and it wants to fix disparities between black and white people, and critical race theory says something about that sometimes. So this is critical race theory. So it's a very sloppy, very dumb trick. And this guy's cool, but Ben is upset.
That is an outgrowth of critical race theory.
Can you draw a straight line to it?
Yes.
Really?
100%, because when you say that the meritocracy is an outgrowth of white supremacy, and then you suggest that I'm somehow denying that slavery took place or that your great-great-great-grandfather was a hero because I'm saying that I want people tested when they are in school to see if they are good at school, then what you're purporting to push now is just nonsense. And it's just sheer bullshit, Malcolm. It's just bullshit.
No, it's not, but
holy shit, Ben is bombing, dude. Ben is bombing this crowd. And it's really funny because I didn't think this bombing was going to get worse, but Ben actually, I didn't know this, but like before, like we got like a taste of it, but Ben has an incredibly short temper, a wildly short temper. If you poke at him, he'll just break.
he thought that was bullshit, because that's not what it is. I mean, are we talking about 2021? Or are we talking about 1861? because
the point is, can we talk about 1861 and 2021?
Yes, we can. And
you just did.
I don't know who's against talking about history.
Well, I mean, I understand that they want to, in Texas, they're talking about removing references to the Ku Klux Klan. They're talking about removing. Well, I mean, come on.
That's Texas.
How can you watch?
Wait a second. How is he going to sit here and let Ben Shapiro pull up one county in California, but all of Texas, the second largest state in America, almost 40 million people, their children will be completely kept away from references to Martin Luther King, the women's suffrage movement, the civil rights movement, references about slavery that make white people feel bad, the Ku Klux Klan. Like, this is a massive thing. Second largest state. And then he's going to say, well, that's just Texas, and let Ben Shapiro run off with talking about a single county. What? Not even a state, a single county. Come on now. Listen, Bill Maher.
I mean, these are people who are historical figures who did bad things. No one is actually saying we want to go back and erase everything and restart and talk to you about these things. Critical race theory is a subject because the Republican right has made it a subject. No real school organizations are mandating this for kids.
I hope every Democrat in America takes your perspective, and they will be shellacked at the polls. Roy Teixeira just wrote a piece, the emerging Democrat majority, Roy Teixeira, he just wrote a piece about what he called the Fox News fallacy, a tendency of people on the left to believe that just because Fox News mentions something, it can't be real. The reality is a lot of this stuff is taught in schools.
You mean like viruses?
Well, okay.
Well,
can I?
Now I'm just.
I don't know.
Now I'm just.
I have no clue what you're talking about. I have no clue. Wait a second. Wait.
And one more thing on that, you lucky people here in Alabama might get a knock on your door because I hear Alabama might be one of the most unvaccinated states in the nation. Well, Joe Biden.
Alabama may be one of the most unvaccinated states in the nation. Woo! Woo! Like, what? It gets better.
Biden wants to come talk to you guys. He's going to be sending one of his police state friends to your front door to knock on the door, take down your name, your address, your family members' names, your phone numbers, your cell phone numbers, probably ask for your social security number, and whether you've taken the vaccine or not. Yeah, well, what they don't know is in the South, we all love our Second Amendment rights.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene is here on stage in Alabama having a tour or something as the crowd cheers that they're not taking the vaccine, and then insinuates that they should then shoot people coming to their door asking if they've gotten the vaccine.
Well, Joe Biden wants to come talk to you guys.
Boo! Talking to the president sucks.
He's going to be sending one of his police state friends to your front door.
Fuck the police state.
Yeah, wait, I thought we backed the blue. We do. But don't we like states?
Yeah, we do.
We just don't like it we combine stuff?
Fuck no. This ain't a goddamn KFC Taco Bell.
Oh.
To your front door to knock on the door, take down your name, your address, your family members' names, your phone numbers, your cell phone numbers, probably ask for your social security number.
Fuck numbers. Anybody likes numbers that much needs their ass whooped.
You've taken the vaccine or not. Yeah, well, what they don't know is in the South, we all love our Second Amendment rights.
If there's one thing people don't know about the South, it's how much we love guns.
That's true. Maybe we should get some more bumper stickers and be more vocal on the internet.
Mm-hmm. And we're not real big.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has ever known that the South really likes their guns. They do need to start. That's a big issue that nobody knows much about.
Not strangers showing up on our front door, are we?
Yeah, fuck hospitality. Not in my South.
Talking about Dr. Tony Fauci. We didn't vote for him. He makes more money in the federal government than the President of the United States. Don't forget, President Trump never took a paycheck, everybody.
Well, goddamn, I made more money than him, too, if he didn't take a paycheck.
Hold on, buddy. She's getting somewhere.
This man spent your tax dollars, my tax dollars, through a third party to the Wuhan lab, where the gain of function was used to take a virus that was spread between animals, and it was changed into a virus that spread between humans.
I didn't understand most of them
Excuse
words,
me?
and so I'm furious.
I think one of them meant China.
Well, that's bad.
Wait a second. What? I didn't know she was pushing this conspiracy up there too. No way. No way. She's doing gain of function shit. No. She's taking this on tour where gain of function was used. What the? You have no clue what these words mean.
All over the world has gotten people sick and they're dying. They died and they're still dying.
Wait a minute, hold on. So it's real? I thought it like wasn't real.
Yeah, so should we be prepared or something?
No, it's queer.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, you're right. There are states, like from the old Confederacy, I think, who do want to airbrush history. If you ask me critical race theory, if you say, does that mean teach history unvarnished? I would say yes. Then I'm totally for critical race theory. Acknowledging that racism persists today, teach that. Should we have remedial means? That's like affirmative action. I'm still for that. Blacks earn 40% less.
Blacks.
90% less family wealth. High poverty high schools, 72% blacks to 31% white, live 6 years shorter, half as likely to go to college, 8 times more incarcerated. These are real statistics. You think we should address them? You think we should address them?
He's so mad. Oh my gosh. Did you look at this body? Wait, we need like a body language expert in here to analyze Ben Shapiro, because this body language shows me someone who is, I'm reading him, and I'm no expert, but I'm reading it and I see someone who is visibly angry. He seems visibly angry and upset and maybe even a little nervous.
You think we should address them?
Look
right?
at that.
If critical race theory means making children in school fixate on race, I'm not for that. If it's about collective.
Why did they clap there? Did they clap for the other ones? But okay, weird.
Guilt. I didn't do anything to your great-great-great-grandfather.
I agree with you, and I don't think that's critical race theory.
But it's being,
I think
again,
what's happened here what's happened here is this terminology, sort of like defund the police, has been hijacked.
Wait, I need to zoom in. I've never seen someone so angrily drink water. Look how twisted his face is. Look at that, dude. Look at him. He's so mad. And some snowshoes, garbage, folly. She's so tired of it. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. You think we should zoom in? Jarvis, enhance. Jarvis, enhance. Look at that shit. Look at the molding. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. He's losing this debate so badly. And not even the sense of I think he's losing on substance. After those stats came out, I think now he's losing on substance, but he was losing rhetorically this entire time. Mr. Stark, this man is molding.
Has been hijacked and been framed around the left as that they want to do all this. They want to rip down the entire social fabric of America, and they want us to be guilty about everything. I want you to teach history. I had a lot of people in the military. Hold on. I had a lot of people in the military, senior officers who had to make life and death decisions, who were total morons about the cultures and institutions and countries we were going into, and people died because
I have
of
a
that.
question.
I don't need that here.
If we agree,
which is a really good point. Not being educated is a really poor thing, and there's a lot of poor education in this country, and we don't teach proper history. Now, what's the history that he's talking about? And Ben's going to get into this. What is the history that they're talking about? Well, it's the history that he just mentioned, like his great-great-great-grandfather having to run away from being a slave to stop the South, like all those statistics that just came up, the history of like the KKK and like the civil rights movement, like MLK, and like all of these things. That's the history he's talking about. The history that fuck's his name? Bill Maher. The history that Bill Maher just had to bring up when it comes to the disparity between outcomes and the disparity between opportunities and all of those things, and wealth and passed down wealth. That's the history that they're talking about, and that's the history that we want to teach. We're all agreeing on that. We're all agreeing on this. Every time Ben's like, here, what about this? What about that? He's just like, that's just bad policy. That's not critical race theory. But he wants to keep calling it critical race theory because he has a specific goal. Name everything controversial on race he doesn't like critical race theory, because then you can easily wrap it up and throw it away. And that goes to the Republicans' point to try to whitewash, to airbrush history, as he likes to say. That's just Texas, the second largest state in the country. Just Texas. And when I completely airbrush history, that's their goal. That's their plan. And that's why he wants to call everything that he doesn't like critical race theory. Now look at this.
That history should be taught? Why are you defending critical race theory, which is not history?
Did I not just say a moment ago that I think that term has been hijacked and that's not what we're talking about?
Okay, so let's say critical race theory.
I'm going to go back and repeat that I didn't say that.
Okay.
You are literally defending critical race theory by redefining it as just teaching history, which is a cheap semantic trick, and you know it.
Is this what you do on your show? Because it sucks.
Malcolm, I appreciate that, but I will comfort myself tonight by sleeping on my bed made of money.
I'm sure we have an adult. I'm sure we.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh, oh no, man. Hey, listen, Chief. Maybe flexing that you're a like multi-millionaire and you sleep on your bed of money during a national pandemic where millions of people are slipping into poverty and 30% of the people in food drive lines have never stood in a food drive line before. Maybe that's not the dunk you think it is, babes, please. Please, this isn't it. This isn't good. He only says that because he's angry. He wants to dunk, and that's the only flex that he could think of. Having a lot of money. All this money. Look at all this money I have. I sleep on my bed of money. I'll cover myself in my bed of money. You'll never. You may have beaten me in this factual debate, but I have more money than you. Okay. Mask off moment. Yeah, that's mask off moment right there. Yep, and Ben, that's all you have. Money. That's it. And it does not buy you being a good person at all. This guy is like fucking ripping Ben apart. He is ripping Ben apart. And now Ben's so heated, he's starting to rip himself apart. This is so sad. Yeah, the lack of self-awareness is incredible. What the fuck? This is incredible.
Malcolm, I appreciate that, but I will comfort myself tonight by sleeping on my bed made of money.
I'm sure we have an adult. I'm sure we have another adult subject to talk about.
Well,
and that's about it for that segment. Ben was on the back foot that entire time, and he never recovered. That was probably one of the worst showings from Ben I think I've ever seen. That shit was hilarious. That was so bad. And to think that a dunk on the guy after that would be, hey, flex how much money you have. He may have beaten you in this, and you may have like barely listened to what he just said. But quick, dunk on him. Call him poor. Call him poor. Got him. The crowd is booing me. Don't they know I make all of the rent combined every month? Do they not know how many YouTube clicks I have? Do they not know how much traffic I drive on Facebook? And then he hits the water. Do they not know? My gosh, man is. Fucks your feelings, grr. Fucks your feelings, grr. The thing is, the guy didn't even fall into the trap of trying to redefine critical race theory as just history. They were just talking about history. Not even like anything controversial. Nothing. But that's the only talking point that Ben Shapiro had there. And he completely blundered. And I think one of the biggest things is that Ben Shapiro was finally amongst an audience that wasn't his. The reason that that audience was there was not for Ben Shapiro. Usually when you see Ben debate, even when it's at places like Politicon, lots of those people come there to see Ben Shapiro. Lots of them are Ben Shapiro fans. There are lots of conservatives in the crowd. This is a crowd of people. Ben Shapiro usually debates in places that are controlled by him. Yeah, when he goes to do these college events, the people sitting there to listen to him talk for hours on end, those are little Republican kids or people who come to go watch Republicans. That's not a hostile crowd. He brings other people into a hostile crowd. He does not go into a hostile crowd himself. This time, the tables have the turned have completely tabled to the point where he is completely out of his element. And I think the tools that the guy was using on him in the beginning flustered him. Him getting really poor responses for like jokes and things that he said to the audience by the audience. Worth really throwing him off. And then at the very end, when he disrespected his book and then he disrespected his show, that was the final straw. So he had to punch back somehow. He had to punch back, and it just landed like a wet fart. It was awful because he is not used to debating in any place that isn't just completely by him, for him, where he can just sap energy from the crowd and dunk on the SJWs with barely coherent arguments that if you had a moment to sit down with him that you could completely pick apart, because it's just that bad. As soon as he gives off his dunk, the person pulls away the mic and then the person has to go sit down. Now he has an epic clip of dunking on someone, and that's it. In this scenario, he doesn't. The guy talked over Ben several times, and wouldn't let him run away from stuff. And he controlled the conversation a lot of the times. And when Ben's in a situation like that, he falters, he fumbles, and it's funny. It's fucking hilarious. I want to see more of it. He should not be doing whoever books him for this is probably getting fired sometime soon. Okay, because Ben is just not cut out for these types of debates at all. Ben's he comes back and abuses. He starts throwing staplers Klobuchar style.